Good day to you all, and welcome to Eswatini Voice YouTube channel. Please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so that you can be notified of any future uploads that we are going to have relating to the Swaziland or Eswatini struggle. We have a lot of content, and today we are joined by Comrade IB Dhlamini, a veteran of the struggle, who's been posting a lot of videos, who's been speaking up and helping the Maswati, the Swazi people, with the fight for democracy. Welcome to Eswatini Voice, Comrade IB, and thank you very much for availing yourself and giving us this opportunity to have you.
Yeah, good evening, comrade. Good evening, Maswat Lamahle, wherever you are, Siyambingelela, and let us have the conversation, because it is through the conversations that we have as Swazis that will basically usher us into a new democratic Swaziland.
Yes, thank you very much, Comrade, for yourself. Hey, ever since I was born in the country, I never thought I'd ever see this happening, but I'm really surprised to see this, to be part of this, to be part of the current struggle that is happening, and to see what is actually happening in the country. But more than anything, what I'd like to really address today is the issue of the killings taking place in the country. It's a painful thing to see the Maswati dying like this. And yes, you understand it's a struggle, and every struggle there has to be casualties. But just first question I would like to ask, what is the main cause of the current killings which are taking place in the country at the moment?
And you fellow Swazis, and my fellow compatriots, and to you people of the world who may be listening to the discussion that we're having this evening. We cannot look at the current killings in isolation. We have to look at briefly the historical background. Why are we where we are? It never started last June. For many years, particularly since the King Sobhuza, the late King Sobhuza II, decided to unilaterally and unconstitutionally abrogate the Independence Constitution. That was on the 12th of April, 1973. Dear Swazis and the world at large, when the king decided to do what he did there, he paved a way for autocracy and for suppression of the human rights of the Swazi. And there was no other way he could have sustained that without him using brute force, without him using the armed forces. Even on that very day, when he overthrew the constitution, he decided to post the police and the army in strategic positions in Swaziland. Then he said he was everything in terms of he was in charge of the judiciary, he was in charge of the executive, and he was in charge of parliament. So that was the cause of the current problem. Because although for so many years, for 49 years, since 1973, we will be finishing 50 years, which is half a century next year in April, which is just around the corner. Although he has actually done that to use brute force against our people, but our people have been restrained. They restrain themselves over so many years. So we are trying to say that today, what we're seeing today, or what we're seeing last year and today, this is not a new thing. Maswat Lamahle, you will recall that in the 80s, in 1982, the the Lictoto regime, which was basically in charge of the Swazi government after the demise of King Sobhuza II. You know what they did? They signed what was called the Pretoria Accord. And they signed the Pretoria Accord with the apartheid regime. And what happened? What did the accord say in a nutshell? It said, Swazi government, you will make sure that the ANC and the PAC and AZAPO cadres do not use Swaziland to attack South Africa because, I mean, as they were waging their liberation struggle. In return, the Afrikaners then, the apartheid regime said, and we were going to protect you. From who? Because they were not going to protect Swaziland, the Swazi monarch against Mozambique. They were not going, because they are not in war with Mozambique. They were not going to protect the Swazi monarch or the Swazi government against the Boers. The Boers were very, very strong. And in any rate, they have got that historical relationship. They were friends. So, fellow Swazis, what then happened? Then we saw in the history of the liberation struggle in South Africa, there is no other frontline state where so many MK and applicators died than they did in Swaziland. If you look at the area between Swaziland, inside Swaziland, and the area towards Emelo, a lot of Swazis and the South Africans died. And who actually killed them? It was the Swaziland police. It is there. You can go there in 1980, in the newspapers of 1983, 1983, 84, 85, and 86. It is there. So the police in Swaziland, fellow Swazis, and the world at large, the police in Swaziland have been killing people who wanted democracy and wanted freedom with impunity for many, many years. So it is not like it is starting today. So we needed just to go back and really talk about those. And the people who were dying there, there were Swazis as well, not only the South African liberation fighters. So now that is the 1982 Pretoria Accord. But if you go back in 1875, King Banzen and the Boer commander, Herb Rudolph, they had a similar pact. And even then, the protection was for the monarchy. It was not about the people, but they were protecting the monarchy from who? From the ordinary people. Why? When the ordinary people wanted their democracy. So we needed to go back a bit so that we can actually talk about the killings, extrajudicial killings in Swaziland. We have people here who died at the hands of the police. One of them was a young girl called Nanes Konze during the 1996 general shutdown, which was called by the Southern Federation of Trade Unions then. This young girl was at Kakoza, and she saw the people who were marching. She came out and the police shot her and she was killed. And there has been no recourse for the family, for the Skonde family, for the death of their young girl. She was a very, very young girl. Mathausen Gubane was killed by the police in Matapa, Eskodweni, Matapa police station. They call it Eskodweni. And he was killed because he was suspected that he had stolen some money. I don't know whether it was 15,000 or something like that. And they tortured him and he was killed. Ntokozo Mbozo is one of those young people who was killed after he had come out and he has raised his hands to the police. Everybody was there. They saw Ntokozo Mbozo raising his hands and saying to the police, "Arrest me." And they had actually gone to the family of Ntokozo and they said, dear mother of Ntokozo, go and buy a coffin and because we are going to kill your son. And lo and behold, they killed Ntokozo in cold blood. Then they killed Sipojele. Sipojele was a Kudemo member, and his sin, you will recall, his sin was to wear a t-shirt that was written the name of his political party, which was Kudemo. They took him to Strashini, and he was killed there for wearing a t-shirt. And there are a lot of them, fellow Swazis, my fellow compatriots, people who were killed before. So now, it can never be true that we can then look at this thing and say, oh, now people they've started killing police. Last year, more than 100 people were killed in cold blood. We don't even know the graves of many of those people. We just hear stories. A lot more they were made today, and they are in crutches today, they are in wheelchairs today, they are walking with bullets inside their bodies. I know that because I took a lot of those fellow Swazis to hospitals. And the hospital said, the doctors there said, we can't operate on you, we can't take this bullet because if we take it from your body, you are going to die. So, fellow Swazis, if we ask ourselves, who actually caused the commotion that led to the killing of our people last year? We will recall that it was Deputy Prime Minister who was acting Prime Minister there, Deputy Prime Minister Themba Masuku. Themba Masuku refused. Now, what happened is the 3 MPs that we know about, Honorable Kauzela Simelane, Honorable Mthandeni Dube, and Honorable Batete Mabuza, they went to Parliament and they said, our people have sent us to Parliament to ask the king to allow them to elect a prime minister direct instead of this issue wherein prime ministers in Swaziland are appointed, and you must be a Dhlamini. Since 1968, all the prime ministers were either princes or there were people who were related, blood relatives to the royal family. So just asking that question to say the people want to elect their own prime minister. Then that deputy prime minister was acting, Themba Masuku, said, no, you are lying. The people did not say that. Show me proof. And duly so, these MPs went back and they went to their constituencies and they said, Prime Minister Themba Masuku wants proof that you want to elect a prime minister. And the people, without bending any structure, without doing anything, fellow Swazis, they wrote petitions, which now was going to be proof that it was them who had sent these 3 MPs. They took those petitions to the political centers, their political constituencies, because that's what the Constitution says. They followed the Constitution to the letter. Those 3 MPs followed the Constitution to the letter. And as soon as Themba Masuku, who was acting prime minister, realized that now all the people, they are confirming what these MPs are saying. And they were going to have a problem as a government and as representatives of the monarchy to implement what the people were asking. Because as far as the royal family is concerned, as far as the monarchy is concerned, no other Swazi is worthy to be a prime minister of Swaziland unless he is a member of the royal family or is a Dhlamini. And that is a huge insult to our people who have got people with PhDs, people who are so smart, business people, people who have run international organizations, that they cannot be a prime minister of a tiny country like Swaziland. So what then happened? As soon as the people sent these petitions, Themba Masuku issued a directive that they should be stopped by the police and the army and the warders. So now, as soon as they stopped these people, people said, no, we are going ahead. And that was the start of the problem. Because of the anger of the people who did not realize why are they being stopped from exercising their constitutional right to send petitions to their political constituencies. They went there, the police stopped them, they beat them up, they threw tear gas at them, the people retaliated, they burned some structures, and on that fateful June 28, 29, 2021, more than 100 of our people were killed. And a lot more were injured. Almost 700 were arrested. And a lot of them ran away from the country. This is where we are. That was the cause. The cause, and the cause was not really now, because remember, the cause was what happened in 1973. Because Themba Masuku, who was the acting prime minister, was implementing what the royal family had told him to do. Make sure that the Swazis will never ever have a prime minister who is not appointed by the king, so that he can work for the king and protect the interests of the king. So, lastly, on this particular question, for so many years, our people have been molested, they've been arbitrarily arrested, people have been evicted, people have been killed, as I've given the examples in here. People have been tear gassed. I mean, you can just imagine. Myself, I thank God that I still have both of my legs. Because one police officer around 1996, out of the blue, he stops my car. Comrade Tulani Masego, who is the chairperson of the multi-stakeholder forum, was in my car and my cousin. And they stopped me in Manzini, and I said, why are you stopping me? They said, no, you must go to the police station. I said, I can't go there. You know, fellow Swazis, he said, I must open, this station commander said, I must open my window so that we can talk, because there were soldiers, about 30 or 40 of them, all of them and police, all of them, they were having rifles and pointing at my car. And this particular person, this particular police, threw a hand grenade canister inside a small car, a sedan, where there were human beings. And we know that thing, when you throw that thing on the ground, it opens a crate of a hole, because it is a hand grenade. The difference is that most probably it does not have this toxic thing like a proper hand grenade, but it is some form of a hand grenade. If that thing had actually if it hit me on my lap or on my thumb, I could have been amputated, and I had done nothing wrong. So they are used to doing this kind of things. So now, why are we where we are? It's because of King Mswati and the royal family, because I've given you the history. But the people of Swaziland now, they have said, for 49 years, last year it was 48 years, you have been killing us. You have been maiming us. You have been arresting us. You have been kicking us. You have been doing all sorts of things with impunity. Not even one policeman or policewoman had ever been arrested for killing our people. The people said, enough is enough. There come a time, fellow Swazis and people of the world, freedom-loving people of the world, where people say enough is enough. Our people said enough is enough. And our people are defending themselves from a very, very brutal regime and a very, very murderous killing squad called the Royal Swaziland Police, or Umbuto Swaziland Defense Force, or His Majesty's Correctional Services. All of these three forces, they have got His Majesty, they've got Royal. They are there to defend the royal family. So now, when their people say they want their freedom, they want it from whom? From the royal family. Who is stopping them? It's the police, the armed forces. How do they stop them? They kill them. So our people have got two choices: to allow the perpetuation of these killings, which started in 1973, or to say, or to draw the line on the sand and say, enough is enough. That is where we are now. We cried. I wasn't here. I cried for my people. But I made a vow and I said, the blood of my people. Just like Comrade Solomon Mahlangu said when he was hanged by the Boers. So Comrade Solomon Mahlangu was a member of the Mfundwe season. He was very young. I think he was around 21. When he was hanged just in here, he said, tell my people that I love. He said, my blood shall nourish the tree that shall bear the fruits of freedom. The blood of our people, which were killed by Mswati III, are nourishing the tree that shall bear the fruits of freedom of all Swazis. That is exactly where we are. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Comrade. Thank you very much for that elaborate explanation, going back into history and allowing us to have a clear understanding of where this all started, because a lot of people don't understand where it all started. They just think everything just erupted last year, and they don't understand why people were protesting last year and everything. Thank you for that elaborate explanation. But this is where we are now, but it's not what we want in the country. So what can we do to try and avert, to try and stop the killings which are taking place in the country at the moment?
We have got a choice. We have got two choices in Swaziland currently. And unfortunately, remember, fellow Swazis, and democracy and freedom-loving people of the world. This is a war that has been imposed by just one family called the Swazi royal family under King Mswati III and his mother, the Queen Mother Ntombi Twala. they declared war on our people. The war, the people of Swaziland never asked for war from the rest. All that they wanted and they still want was freedom. They wanted to join the freedom-loving people of the world. But what did they get? They got bullets. Our people have got two choices: to submit and to enjoy the killing, and that will be passed from generations to generations, like it has been happening for the past 270 years, or they fight like a dog that has been cornered. They have to fight. But our people are peace-loving people. They still believe that there could be a negotiated settlement, a peaceful negotiated settlement. But the king does not want that, because the king is the one that has created this, the king and the royal family and the monarch. And the king insists that he must be the referee. He will be the judge and the jury when he is the cause of the problem in Swaziland. Fellow Swazis and freedom-loving people of the world, that cannot happen. It just cannot happen. Hitler would not have actually come and said, I am Hitler, I've destroyed the nations of the world. But now, because you want your freedom, come. I am Hitler. I will talk to you how we are going to resolve the problem. It wouldn't happen like that. Here in South Africa, the Boers could not have just said, we are going to be the referee, when they were the ones who were killing the black people. It is the same thing in Swaziland. We believe there is a chance for a peaceful negotiated settlement, but the king is not going to be the arbiter. We need an impartial international body that should actually come and be the referee. And we need, before that discussions happen, there will be some preconditions that should be put in place. The first one is a cessation of hostilities. As we speak now, there are soldiers all over the country. You can never negotiate when the soldiers are killing our people. There must be the unconditional release of the 2 MPs and other political prisoners. In Swaziland, it's not only 2 people that are arrested. There are a lot of them, even those who are out on bail for many years, some of them for more than 15 years. If you are on bail, you are not different from somebody who is incarcerated. The difference is that you are inside, you are outside, but you are still subjected to a lot of conditions, and which the regime puts on you. Before we have this negotiation, there must be unconditional return of all political exiles. Then there will be the issue of a free press. Then we will have to get every Swazi. When I say every Swazi, I mean every Swazi. We need to get our women for, because they are subjected to repression for many, many years. They don't have right to land, even if the constitution gives them, but the traditional structures take those rights away from them. They are still treated as minors. A fully grown woman who has got a PhD, who has got millions in Swaziland, when she says, may I have a piece of land? Even from his or from her ancestral land, she is asked to go and get a child, a boy child. What kind of a country treats its women like that? We need the women, we need the youth, we need the rural folk, we need the business people, we need academia, we need labor, we need political parties, we need people with disabilities. We have got about 200,000 people living with disabilities in Swaziland. And this country doesn't care about it. There are people, about 10,000 people living with color, people who people know as albinos. Those people who are living with albinism, they need to sit around the table and say, we want to create a Swaziland that we want, that will respect our rights. And it can never happen if the king was in charge of the process. So this whole notion of Sibaya, it's a no-go area. We will never allow that thing. That thing is not a democratic process because the people in charge there are members of the royal family. The traditional prime minister, who is an Induna Yaseltitsin, who is appointed by the king, and his duty is to make sure that what the king wants, which is a continuation of the domination of the other clans and the other surnames and the other families, I mean, that should actually continue. We won't agree that. I mean, that's what the traditional prime minister's role is. So that person can never be an independent person. So we are saying there is an opportunity for dialogue, peaceful dialogue, but that peaceful dialogue, there will be preconditions, and Mswati, because Mswati is part of the problem, he can never be the arbiter. But I must actually say this. If that thing doesn't happen, if there is no peaceful resolution of the problem in Swaziland, the war continues. But Mswati and the royal family must know one thing, fellow Swazis, and the democracy-loving people of the world. There is no one government in the entire world that has ever